Importing into Lightroom, video 1. Hey guys, my name is Zach from We Are Film, and this is an intro to importing into Lightroom. Alright, so one of the first things you're going to want to do when you're importing into Lightroom is organize your files first. So what we're going to do is take the files from our SD card and actually put them right onto an SSD, the OWC Envoy Pro. Now it's really nice to use an SSD because it's nice and fast, so you won't really have to worry about your pictures taking too long to load. Alright, so we're going to go in here and we're going to control click, new folder, and we're going to do, just call it whatever you want. You can call it like test, edit, example. And we're going to go in and click in here. And I always like to make a folder called raw photos first, because when you first import your photos, you're gonna have raw or DNG files, and then you're gonna edit them and you can export them as JPEGs. But you don't wanna just have all your files in there, so I always like to make multiple folders just to keep things organized. So I'm gonna call this one raw, and I'll make another one, just call it JPEG or export or whatever you want. So there we go. So right now there's two different Lightrooms. Right now I'm using Lightroom Classic. There's a newer version. It works a little bit better with Lightroom Mobile, but I prefer this one, and this is what I'm going to be showing the tutorial today. So the first thing you're going to want to do is import all your files into the folder that we already created. So I'm going to go over here to the bottom and click Import. And you can see it already detected my SD card. And you can see all the pictures of Cameron that we took, and some pictures of me. Now you'll see on this left side, this is where it's gonna be the source. So this is where you're picking your pictures from. And on the right side, you'll see a couple different things. So you'll see this Macintosh HD, which is the laptop itself. You can see right here, we have our files. It's called test edit examples. I'm gonna click on raw, and I already have everything selected. And you can see right now for me, these say the file name and then .arw. And those are essentially Sony's raw files. So you can import, and it'll start to do that. So what it's doing right now is it says copy and import. So what it's doing is it's going to take the pictures off of the SD card and move them to the SSD. All right, so that actually didn't take very long at all. I thought it was gonna take a while, but like I said, using an SSD makes things very, very fast. And so now that you have everything in here, that's essentially all you need to do to get your pictures into Lightroom. Of course, like I was saying, I was shot in RAW, so they are AWR files. And typically you like to use DNG files. Those are digital negatives. And it just is a universal kind of file format that you can have from Sony, Nikon, Canon, Panasonic, and so on. So something you can do is you can go through, select them all. So what you do is you go up to library, and then you go down to convert photos to DNG, which you can do that from there. And then it'll select what type of files you want them to be, which is really nice because DNGs, you can actually read them in older versions of Lightroom, where newer cameras, they have a newer kind of decoding that needs to go on in order for the program to read it. So if you ever wanted to give these photos for someone else to edit, or if you have a different version on, let's say, like a different laptop or computer, making them a DNG and then exporting those makes it so that you can still retain all that raw file information, and an older program will be able to read it, which is really nice. JPEGs preview, medium size, and raw, and you can see all these, and that'll be fine. Extension DNG. Okay. And now it'll convert those 41 photos into DNGs. Now, it's not necessary to always convert to DNG, especially if you have a camera like mine where the file sizes are really big. Sometimes the file sizes are quite large, and it can slow down your computer. All right, so those are all converted to DNG. And that is one way to import your files. So we had them on a separate device and we put them onto the hard drive. Now I want to actually show you a different way. So if I go back to the desktop, you can see that there's an extra folder called Photo Fixes. And that just has one picture already in there, and it's a JPEG. So in here, I can actually show you that if we go back to Lightroom, you can go back down to Import, and instead of doing copy, and we could have also clicked copy as DNG. I just figured I'd show you how to copy first and then you can convert them after. It's always best to know how to always fix something if you don't do it right the first time. You can actually go into this here, and we can actually go to the photo fixes. Because this is already on the file, we can actually just click add. It'll take that picture that's already on the hard drive and just add it to the catalog, because we don't need to move it from anywhere. So now you can see that picture has imported. And even though it's a JPEG, you can still convert it to a DNG. It's really nice because it'll keep the editing information, but that'll be a tutorial for another day. All right, so now that you are in Lightroom and everything is imported, you can see on the left here that we have a lot of collections that are kind of not really being used. Those are just other hard drives. And typically, if you don't have something plugged in, it'll turn gray as to indicate that it is not there and it can't find the pictures. So right here, we can go to these pictures here and we can edit them. So if you wanted to, you could go through. If you hit the space bar, it'll make the pictures big. If you tap the left and right key, it'll go back and forth between the pictures. If you want to get back to the view of seeing them larger, you tap the G key, shows them in full view. Space bar again, and then you can go through and number them if you want. So let's say you want to limit down all the photos that you don't want to edit. Essentially, this is a bad picture. This is probably not a good picture. Probably not a good picture either. Don't tell Cameron, he is sitting right on the other side of the camera, that his pictures are bad. But let's say I liked this one. So I can hit number 1 and it gives it a 1-star rating. We can go over to the next couple pictures. I can see this one was pretty good, maybe 1. This one's good, 1-star it. That one's really good. So I'm just gonna hit 3-star because I know I'll definitely end up using this one. I might end up using these other ones. You can keep going through. That one's pretty good. I think this one's better, just a little bit more in focus. Just click to see. And real quick, as you see when I click, it actually is showing the minus icon. So this is fit. So when I click here, it does 1:1. You can do it to fill, or you can even select like a 2:1. You can select a 4:1, and then you can even move around in here. And then when you click back onto it, it goes back to that second option that you already had. So if I click like a fill, and I click, it'll go between the 4:1 to fill. And if I go 1:1, it'll go between 1:1 to fill. All right, so that is the intro to importing your photos into Lightroom. If you'd like to see more, maybe some editing tips, make sure to hit that subscribe button, maybe hit the bell so you get notified when we upload. Cameron's been on a pretty good schedule, uploading a couple times a week. And make sure to leave a comment down below of anything specific that you want to see on the channel. So until next time, my name is Zach, and we are Film.